Okay, welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at some more equations involving fractions. So let's get started. Now first one we have x plus 5 over 3 is equal to 6. So in order to solve, we're going to need to simplify this a bit, and first we're going to multiply both sides by our denominator. So this side will multiply by 3 and this side will multiply by 3 as well. So if we multiply this side by the denominator, our fraction goes away and we're left with x plus 5, or just our numerator. After that, we have 6 times 3, which is going to be 18. Now, in order to get the pronumeral, which is our letter on its own, what we need to do is get rid of that term plus 5. And to do that, we're going to do the exact opposite, and we're going to take 5 away. So we're going to minus 5 from both sides. Okay, minus 5 from both sides results in x is equal to 18 minus 5, which is going to be 13. Alright, let's look at B. For B, we have minus 2y plus 1 over 4 is equal to 3. Now again, we're going to multiply both sides of this equation by our denominator, which is going to be 4. When you're just getting started out, using these arrows is a good idea. It just reminds you to do the same exact operation on both sides. Later on, you don't have to do this. Right, so if we multiply this side by, or our fraction by our denominator, we just end up with the numerator, so minus 2y plus 1, and then 4 times 3 is equal to 12. Again, we want the term with the pronumeral by itself, so we need to get rid of this plus 1. To do that, we do the exact opposite operation, and we take 1 away. So take 1 away from both sides. 12 minus 1 is just going to be 11, and then negative 2y plus 1 minus 1 is just going to be minus 2y. Alright, last step, divide both sides by our coefficient, which in this case is negative 2. So we're going to divide by negative 2, and we're going to divide this side by negative 2. Alright, 11 divided by negative 2, well that's just going to be negative 11 over 2. And then negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just y. So y equals negative 11 over 2. Now typically in algebra, we leave it in this form, as either a fraction or an improper fraction. We don't have to, and if the question specifically asks you to use a decimal value, then follow that. But in general, use the improper fraction. Alright, let's look at C. So for C, we have 3z over 5 plus 2 is equal to 8. So we have a fraction and then two constant terms. Now again, what we're going to do is multiply both sides by our denominator, but we need to remember that when we're multiplying this side by the denominator, we're going to multiply this whole term by 5 and then this whole term by 5 as well. So let's see how that's done. So we're going to multiply this side by 5 and multiply this side by 5. Now 3z over 5 multiplied by 5 is just going to be equal to 3z, or our denominator. Now we have to apply this multiplying by 5 to our positive 2. And to do that, we just do 2 times 5. So 2 times 5 is just going to be 10. And then on this side of the equation, multiply 8 by 5 and we just get 40. Alright, so now that we've done that, we just have to recognize that what we need is to get our pronumeral by itself, so we need to get rid of this constant term here by doing the opposite. This is plus 10, so we need to get rid of it by doing the exact opposite, which is to take 10 away. Alright, so let's take 10 away from both sides. 3z plus 10 minus 10 is just 3z. And 3z is going to be equal to 40 minus 10, which is just going to be equal to 30. Now, I've just made a little bit of an error in what I'm doing, in that I've left these kind of numbers here without any guidance to what they mean. Just put in your arrows if you are going to use this method. Don't do what I just did and leave them out, because it can be confusing. Right? This could be 30 minus 10. 3z is equal to 30 minus 10, which it isn't, and that's not true. So just make sure you're working out, if you are going to be using these arrows, that all the arrows are in there. Right, if 3z is equal to 10, we just need to divide both sides by that coefficient of 3. So if I divide both sides by 3, and I divide this side by 3, what I end up with is 30 divided by 3, which is just going to be equal to 10. And 3z divided by 3 is just equal to z. So z is equal to 10. Alright, let's look at our last one. Let's look at D. So for D we have minus 8x over 3 minus 4 is equal to 12. So again, multiplying both sides by that denominator. So if we multiply both sides by the denominator, all we end up with is negative 8x minus 12 is equal to 36. So 3 times our negative 8x over 3 will be minus 8x, and 3 times our negative 4 will be negative 12, and 3 times 12 will be 36. Alright, so for our next one, we have to just get rid of our constant term here, and because this is minus 12, we're going to add 12 to both sides. So if I add 12 to this side of the equation, it's just going to be minus 8x. And then if I add 12 to this side of the equation, it's going to be equal to 48. So negative 8x is equal to 48. All we need to do now is divide by this coefficient. So if I divide negative 8x by negative 8, I just end up with x. And if I divide 48 by negative 8, it's a positive divided by a negative, so we know it's going to be negative. And 48 divided by 8 is just 6. Now, this is kind of an example of how you end up just doing it in your head, and you do not have to do these lines either. Most of the time later, when you're familiar with doing equations, you will just keep writing line after line of each logical sequence, and you won't really worry too much about leaving indications about what you're doing, because it'll be quite obvious. Alright, that's it for this video. Hope it was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.